Boing. Holy crap.
Hey guys, our topic this week was requested by Saul Cobra, Pale Ritter, Anthony Rodriguez, and SSR Entertainment. We're going to be discussing Samael, one of the demon princes of the Darksiders franchise.
So the first thing to know about Samael is that he is a demon, a very old one. In Darksiders continuity, demons are a race of their own, known as the Second Kingdom, and have spent most of creation battling the denizens of the First Kingdom, the Angels. Like all races except for the Nephilim, their origins and original homeworld are both unknown, though the Nine Hells are known to exist in some form or another, and can be inferred to be their original birthplace. But even if demons aren't initially from Hell, it is their primary bastion and the place they call home as of the time of the Darksiders games, comics, and books. As in just about every other mythos you may have seen, demons vary wildly in form, power, and intelligence, and are generally united only by the fact that they are evil creatures. In Darksiders' case, the demons are ruled by a being known as the Dark Prince, who is never shown, but is referenced on occasion throughout the various Darksiders media.
Samael is both powerful and old. We don't know exactly how old he is, but we do know that he was around to watch the Horsemen destroy the Nephilim, and that he had already established himself to be a known quantity at the time, as Death comments on remembering Samael's presence during the massacre. Keep in mind that the Nephilim were wiped out somewhere near the beginning of mankind's history, and that the Darksiders world follows actual human history up to the modern day before the apocalypse occurs, meaning that Samael is at minimum several millennia old. And, as he was a name and face that Death took note of and remembered later, he is likely several millennia older than that, having had time to establish himself as a power player in Hell's ranks before the Nephilim's fall.
When we say Samael is powerful, that's no joke. According to various references made across the Darksiders games, books, and comics, Samael at full strength is considered to be the second most powerful demon in the cosmos, second only to the Dark Prince himself. Some in-universe claims have even been made that indicate Samael's power is so vast that he could take the Dark Prince's throne for his own, leading some to consider him essentially the next in line to rule Hell. As an ancient and intelligent being, his array of powers is vast. In Darksiders 1, even while in a weakened state, which we'll get to later, he grants War a limited capacity to manipulate time, as well as Shadow Wings, which granted War an ability to glide and a semblance of flight, indicating that he has some variation of similar powers. During Darksiders 2, at a time when Samael is presumably at full power, he is seen wielding the ability to conjure fire, teleport, use telekinesis, etc. But perhaps his most important and dangerous ability is his perception. An incredibly intelligent being, Samael often finds the truth of the matter simply by observing a situation. He knew War was diminished when he first met him in Darksiders 1, and after only a few seconds with Death in his presence during Darksiders 2, he correctly surmised that Death had both traveled through time and come without any backup or official sanction from the Council. We know he has some sort of farsight or scrying capability, as he tells War point blank that he was watching the Horsemen's escapades during Darksiders 1, even though Samael was presumably always in the same location throughout the entire game. But it goes beyond that. Samael also appears to have at least a limited ability to peer through time, possessing precognition and possibly retrocognition, the ability to see into the future and the past respectively.
This is mostly an inferred capability, though not one outside of the realm of possibility or even likelihood, as Samael has been shown to possess at least a modicum of time manipulation power, as previously mentioned. During his meeting with Death in Darksiders 2, Samael repeats a phrase he says to War in Darksiders 1, "Sometimes the hero dies in the end." Nothing odd there, really, except that he then goes on to tell Death to ask his brother about it, inferring that he already knows that, spoilers for anyone who hasn't finished our Darksiders 1 Let's Play, War dies at the end of the game. Which is odd, because the game straight up tells you that Death traveled back in time to meet Samael, and since he's imprisoned for most of Darksiders 1, this meeting takes place prior to the game's events, meaning that the Demon Prince shouldn't know what happens to War in the future, unless he can see the future. Now, the phrasing is ambiguous, and we're dealing with time travel here, so it should be noted that there are, of course, other possible explanations for this particular set of events. The most notable being that Samael could technically be referring to Death's other brother, Strife, and some series of events to which we, the audience, and Darksiders fanbase are not yet privy. Though, for our money, as Darksiders 2 is a sequel to Darksiders 1, it seems more likely that the "hero dies" line was a reference to the previous game and a nod to faithful players from the last game and a sneaky bit of foreshadowing.
So, with all of that in mind, Samael's story prior to the events of the Darksiders games is predominantly unknown. We know that he was scheming quietly within the legions of hell for several millennia prior to the games, and we can infer that he has been around since long before then. But he is first encountered, albeit briefly, during one of the Darksiders comics that takes place before the events of Darksiders 1. The Horsemen show up on his doorstep. The Council, evidently having heard whispers of dissent against the truce that had been created betwixt heaven and hell, was sending the Horsemen around to remind everyone of what breaking the truce would mean, of the long arm of the Charred Council and the power of its enforcers. The 4 horsemen rode up into Samael's fortress, swatting those of his demonic horde that stood in their way before the host was ordered, by Samael, to stand down. The exchange thereafter was short, with the horsemen reminding Samael that the truce was to hold, and Samael deflecting by telling them to inform his master, the Dark Prince, since he was the one running things, despite whispers that the Dark Prince's reign was in its twilight.
Thereafter, chronologically speaking, Samael is presumably next encountered during the events of Darksiders 2, when Death, in his pursuit of the Well of Souls, seeks Samael out, as the Demon Prince was in possession of one of 2 keys required in order to open the door and grant Death access to the well. When Death arrived, Samael immediately deduced that Death had traveled to what was, for Death, the past, and that Death had come alone. Then, with a lack of verbal finesse that seems to be common among the horsemen, Death demanded the Demon Key, which he knew would be in Samael's possession. Samael's response was to bat Death around for a minute, seemingly testing Death's power, before Death finally asked whether Samael was going to give up the key or make Death fight for it. Seemingly amused by the notion, Samael engaged Death in battle. A battle that either proves that Samael's boasts of power were just that, boasts. He mentions to both Death and War, before knowing why they came, that if the Council wanted him dead, they should have sent all 4 of the horsemen. Or it was just Samael exercising his boredom and wanting some entertainment before he gave Death his key to the Well of Souls. He then further indicated that the upcoming fight between Death and Absalom, the reason Death needed the key in the first place, would be entertaining to watch regardless of the outcome, before teleporting to parts unknown.
Samael is then last encountered during the events of Darksiders 1. After the apocalypse, Abaddon, an archangel, came over to the side of Hell, was granted power and the title Destroyer, and rulership of the now shattered Earth. When Samael disagreed with the idea of allying themselves with a former fallen and failed archangel, Samael was imprisoned and his power stripped from him. However, all of that power had to go somewhere, and so much of the Demon Prince's essence and raw power was taken and distributed between 4 of the Destroyer's generals, called the Chosen. These creatures were presumably granted great power by having Samael's energy literally beating within their hearts. And the Chosen were tasked with ensuring that Samael remained imprisoned and weak. When War arrived roughly 100 years later, he freed Samael, and then helped him, albeit under false pretenses on Samael's part, collect each of the hearts of the Chosen, which Samael then ate in order to regain his stolen power. Upon acquisition of the final heart, the true purpose of the Chosen was revealed. However, despite Samael's duplicity, he held up his end of the bargain and helped War make his way to the Destroyer, Abaddon. His final words to War, and chronologically to us, the audience, were simply, "We will meet again."
And that's basically Samael, the second, or perhaps most, powerful demon in all of Darksiders. We hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave us a like, and if you have ideas for videos you'd like to see us do in the future, do like Saul Cobra, Pale Ritter, Anthony Rodriguez, and SSR Entertainment, and let us know in the comments down below. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, be they lore or let's play, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
In the meantime, this has been Two Men and a Mic, signing off.
Hey guys, you can click the link in the left for our last lore video.
You can click the link on the right for our last Let's Play.
And right here in the middle, that orb, you can hit that to subscribe.
Also, ring the bell if you want to be notified when we post a new video.
This is Two Men and a Mic. Thanks for watching.